We bring you a heartwarming story of how one such mikvah came to be. It is my great honor to introduce our featured speaker today, Mrs. Maya Namdar. Maya is the founder of Maya's Place, a tznius, fashionable women's clothing brand that many of you may recognize at our local stores. She is an inspirational speaker who shares her personal journey of faith, resilience, and hope after the loss of her daughter, Liel. Through her story, she inspires audiences to strengthen their emunah, deepen their connection to Hashem, and bring more light into the world. Please welcome Mrs. Maya Namdar. Trying to clean up for you here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am extremely humbled and so grateful to speak in honor of Mikvah.org 50th anniversary. I want to begin just quickly thanking, I know everyone's been thanking on here, but from the bottom of my heart, when we were talking about the day today, and I'm like, this Sunday, a week after school started, a week before Rosh Hashanah, it's a Sunday morning, and I was just like, am I going to speak to two women in the room? Who shows up on a Sunday morning? And I know it's not easy to come, and I know it's family and kids, and you know what? All of you ladies, every single one of you, you chose to be here, and that in itself is such a great and huge zechut to your presence and supporting and committing to Jewish life, to holiness, to the future of our communities. You chose to start your day here together, honoring something extremely holy. 3.5 years ago, my life changed in ways I could have never, ever imagined. A parent's worst nightmare. At 1 a.m. on a Motzei Shabbat, we got a knock on our door that my daughter, Liel Dina, alea shalom, was taken from us in a tragic car accident. My daughter Liel was just 15 years old. Liel was light. She had this extraordinary ability to make everyone around her feel seen. If she walked into the room, you felt that sunshine walking in. She made everyone feel not just seen, but loved and included. And she had this unique way of drawing people close and making them feel seen without even trying. This was her natural thing of making people feeling like they belonged. So after the darkest night of my life, I found myself at crossroads. My world absolutely no longer made sense. The world did not make sense to me. But I understood that I was handpicked by Hashem to go through this pain. I understood that Hashem picked me because he trusted me, that I could get his message across to the world, the message that en davar ra yored min hashamayim. There's nothing bad that comes down from Shamayim. I could have very, very easily surrendered to darkness. I could have let grief take over me and wash me, or I could choose life. Choosing life in such darkness is not a simple task. I chose, it was a decision, and I chose to see Hashem. I chose to somehow see the light. I chose to live for Liel. not because it was easy, but because it was the only way to survive, to be able to breathe, and to be able to feel Liel with me. And since that time that I have made that decision, I was hanging on to this line from the Torah that says, "Ubacharta b'chaim," because I made a choice to choose life. And it's no coincidence that this coming up week, the Parsha, Parashat Nitzavim, it's the Parsha that Moshe Rabbeinu tells Am Yisrael, "Ubacharta b'chaim leman tichye ata uzarecha." Choose life that you and your descendant may live. Choosing life is not just about surviving. It's about renewal. It's about continuity. It's about hope in the darkness. Every decision we make can either bring light into the world or it could take it away. Choosing life even when it feels impossible, even when the world around you feels heavy and uncertain, like the days we're living in right now, choosing life, that's the way to go. There's absolutely no words to describe the pain of a loss of a child. But there are choices in how we live with it. It was a little bit like sometimes, I want to say maybe a month or two after the accident, and I started going back on my phone, I started going back on my messages, and I went into my Instagram account, and I started noticing that someone on Instagram that I knew of was DMing me and messaging me and tagging me in posts that she created about Liel. And I was very intrigued, and I went and I checked in, and this girl was Rachel Ostroy. She's a blogger, influencer. She has a clothing store also in Brooklyn. We don't know each other, we just know of each other. And she was extremely touched by Liel. She was extremely touched by Liel and by this whole the whole tragedy in the accident. So she started by herself, this campaign, doing this initiative of asking people to start doing netilat yadayim, especially with their children, and if they're not, to do it in honor of Liel. And she kept creating this post over and over, and it went viral. And after some time, women actually started messaging her that they were so intrigued by this idea of netilat yadayim and purity, because she was explaining it, that they decided to take upon themselves to start going to the mikvah. As she's sending me all these messages and we started connecting, we got on the phone, we had a heart-to-heart conversation, we became friends. And the following summer, she invited me over to Deal, where she was staying, and I sat with her in her dining room table, and we were just schmoozing and chilling, and it was a Wednesday. And we're sitting in her dining room, and she actually started showing me the messages that the women were sending her, and I was blown away by it. And then she goes to me, "Maya, we are going to open up a mikvah for Liel." And I just looked at her, and I'm like, I'm very confused. Like, what do you mean we're going to open up a mikvah? She's like, "No, we're going to open up a mikvah that's going to be a mikvah Liel." I'm like, where? She's like, "Anywhere." You mean like in your community? Somebody's trying to raise money for a mikvah? She's like, "No, we'll just open up a mikvah." And I'm like, okay, a little bit loony case. You don't just open up a mikvah. This is not you opening up a business. A mikvah is a big deal. She's like, "Mark my words, there will be a mikvah Liel." And that was a Wednesday. And I just looked at her and I just said to myself, okay, she's a little bit. "Rachel, when you figure out this whole mikvah Liel, you let me know. I'm here all for it, okay?" And I just left. We went back home, and that was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, Sunday. I was invited to an event in Muncie. It was an event supporting another organization. And as I'm at this event in the backyard, the tzedeket, Chaya Abelsky, she deserves that. She comes up to me and introduces herself to me and says to me, do you remember me? And I wasn't sure, because I meet a lot of people and they say, do you remember me? And I don't remember, and I'm very bad with faces and names. And she says, do you remember we had worked on another campaign with charity? And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. And we just started schmoozing. And then she says to me, I'm working on a very personal campaign right now. I mean, it wasn't a campaign. She was working on something very personal right now. We're trying to open up, thank you so much. We're trying to open up a mikvah in Moldova, a proper mikvah that's very much needed there. And I just wanted to kind of ask you, like, some ideas, like how to go about it, and like, you know, maybe, and I'm like, oh, all I'm hearing is echoes, mikvah, mikvah, mikvah. Just sat with Rachel like 3 days ago. I'm like, wait, where is Moldova? Like, where is this country? So she tells me it's a small country next to Ukraine with a nice Jewish community in Kishinev, and actually there's a lot left Ukraine after the war, so now there's a big Jewish community, but they don't have a proper mikvah. And I'm like, okay, just give me a second. I need to process this. And you're asking me for help? Like, okay. I'm like, Chaya, this is my number. I need to process what you're telling me now, and let's get on a call. The next day, Chaya calls me up, and she starts telling me about Moldova, about Kishinev, about the Chabad over there, and the need of a mikvah, that women don't have a mikvah. And I'm like, okay, so what's the story? Who is this mikvah named after? She's like, nobody. It's just a mikvah in Moldova. I'm like, would you name the mikvah after Liel if I get involved with you? There was a moment of silence, which I was very nervous. I'm like, what did I just ask her? And I actually heard the tears from Chaya. And she said to me, it would be our greatest honor to have a Mikvah Liel. A Mikvah Liel in Moldova. Moldova, a country where many Jewish women have no access to a proper mikvah, where the mitzvah of tahara was nearly out of reach. The idea of bringing this mitzvah to life for women who had never experienced it felt right. It didn't just feel right, it felt holy. And so Mikvah Liel was born. I didn't plan this. It was not my idea, but I felt so clearly being guided. I knew right away I was supposed to do this for Liel and for every Jewish woman for the future. What followed after that day, that conversation we had, was nothing but miraculous. In just days, a simple conversation turned into a global outpouring support. Women around the world rallied, donations flooded in, and I would get the sweetest messages with all these donations. I mean, I would sit there and I would watch the donations coming in and the messages, and I would just cry. It was a campaign. It didn't have a formal launch. There was no strategy. We just went with them, and it transformed into a sacred movement to build a foundation for Jewish purity, dignity, and the future of a community. It was just about a month before Liel's yahrzeit, and we were planning to open up a mikvah just in time for Liel's yahrzeit. And I was invited to speak at a very private challah bake event. It was a mother that called me up from the Bukharian community, and she said to me, my daughter is expecting, but the doctors have, they saw something that was going on, and they said to her, basically, the baby is not going to survive outside of the womb. They were trying to convince her to go through with an abortion, that this would not be good for you, this is not going to be good for the baby will not survive, you will have a hard time. and she was devastated. They went to see big rabbanim in Israel. They went to get brachot, and a big rav said to her, do not abort, do not go through with this. Hashem can turn things around, and just hang in there and just daven. And since then, the community got together and rallied and supported her, and they did constant like Tehillim reading and challah bakes, and they were just doing so much for her that she should have a healthy baby, healthy mommy, healthy pregnancy. So they had asked me to come about a month before to come and speak, and I went and I spoke about nothing to do with Mikvah Liel. I went to give chizuk to the community and just shared my journey. I was trying to give emunah and bitachon. As the event had ended, finished, I was done speaking. I was actually taking my bag and saying goodbye to all the ladies. And one of the ladies just raises her hand quickly and she says, we heard that you're opening up a mikvah in Moldova. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you please share with us? I'm like, but the speech is over, like I'm leaving. They're like, just in 10 minutes, just quickly share the story. So I quickly shared the story of Mikvah Liel, and I was telling them how I am actually leaving in a month from now, and I'm flying to Moldova just a few days before my daughter's yahrzeit. My Liel, she's in Israel in Har Menuchot, so I literally went to Moldova, went the next day to Israel to her yahrzeit. And as I'm sharing the story, there was like silence in the room. And I'm seeing tears coming down from everyone's faces. There wasn't a dry face in the room. And I'm shocked because that was not part of my speech for the night. But I just shared my heart. Everything was just raw and real, and the pain and everything, and they felt it with me. And when I was done, one of the ladies said to me, can we still donate? And I said, yeah, of course. You can go on to the charity campaign, and there's a link there. Like, no. Right now. And she just took out a $20 bill and just handed it for me. She's like, can you take this to the mikvah when you go? And I thought it was cute. I said, sure. And the next thing, another lady comes up to me with a $100 bill and a $50 bill and a $10 bill and a $5 bill. Like, I was just getting cash in my hands, and I'm standing there with my bag and a coat on, and I'm holding all this cash, and I'm very overwhelmed. I did not come to fundraise. And one of the ladies that was there saw me. She saw me how overwhelmed I was. She quickly ran to the kitchen. The event was done in the back of a restaurant. She grabbed a paper bag, and she said, just put all the cash in here. Literally a paper bag, a brown paper bag from the kitchen became a pushka, and the money was going in there. And I'm blown away. And they put the bag on the table, and I said, you know what, ladies? This whole story is just insane. I am not leaving until every single one of you who donated is writing their name on this paper bag with whatever Yeshua you want. And I promise you, this paper bag is more important to me than the cash that's inside. This is coming with me to Moldova. This is coming with me to the mikvah, this paper bag. And the ladies all wrote their names on it, and that's actually how I ended up going to Moldova. I handed them over a bag that even had like food oil stains on it. It was ripped, and it had all these women's names, and with the cash, and that's how I handed it over to them. And we ended up actually cementing the paper bag into one of the tiles in the mikvah room. Months later, this young lady has been in the back of my mind. I've been davening for her and thinking of her. What happened? Did she have the baby? Was the baby born okay? Is she okay? Like, what happened? And I kept wanting to message the mother, but I was scared. I was scared from the news I was going to hear. I just didn't want to be upset and devastated, so I didn't. I felt like the not knowing, I was safe. I don't want to know. But I wanted to know, but I don't want to know. And I just kind of waited it out. Months later, that was after we came back from Moldova, I get a text message from the mother. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Do you remember me from the challah bake? I said, do I remember you? I have been praying for you every single day. And I was still scared to ask her, how is your daughter? And then she wrote to me, I wanted to tell you that my daughter had a healthy baby girl. And we named her Liel. I felt like I was standing hand in hand with Hashem. The doors of Mikvah Liel opened on her yahrzeit, and the mikvah was ready for immersion on her Hebrew birthday. This was all directed by Hashem. I cannot describe the feeling of being there on the day of the opening, standing in Moldova, seeing the women of Moldova standing there with tears on the day of the opening. I actually felt Liel's presence. It was as if her light, her warmth, her love were shining in that mikvah, touching every woman, every family, giving life in ways that cannot be measured. That is the power of choosing life and the power of mikvah. There's nothing that shows choosing life more clearly than a mikvah. Water in itself is from the very beginning. The world was covered in it, and the Torah begins with it. The mikvah isn't just a pool, it is Maim Chaim. Every time a woman immerses, she's choosing life, choosing holiness, choosing renewal. She's keeping the chain of Am Yisrael going and adding more light into the world. But a mikvah alone is not enough. You can build the most beautiful, luxurious mikvah, but without education, it stands empty. And that is what mikvah.org has been doing for 50 years, ensuring that women families and communities understand the holiness, the beauty, and the power of the mitzvah. It's all through Gala classes, shiurim, resources, and outreach programs. Mikvah.org teaches that Taharat HaMishpacha is not just a ritual, it is the foundation of a Jewish home, the source of spiritual continuity, and the way we bring holiness into our everyday lives. Without education, the most beautiful mikvah has no impact. Education is the base. It is what sustains life, what empowers women, and what strengthens families. Supporting mikvah.org is not just about putting your name on a building. It's about investing in our lives. Every donation, every resource, every shiur, every Gala class is a choice to give life, to strengthen generations, and to empower women to bring holiness into their homes. When we support mikvah.org, we are not just supporting a building, we are supporting eternity. Today, as we celebrate the 50 years, I ask each of you, continue choosing life, supporting the education, the resources, and the future that this incredible organization brings Am Yisrael. Bring holiness into your homes, teach your daughters, support your communities, invest in eternity, because when we do, we are not only honoring the past, we are shaping the future, we are continuing the chain of life. The days that we are living in right now, the world, it's very clear to us. It's not just dark. Our world is broken. Everywhere we look, there's the tum'ah is like dripping everywhere in the world we're in right now. There is so much pain and confusion. But Hashem gave us an answer to all this. The way we fight tum'ah is with tahara. And every act of tahara doesn't just stay with us. It spreads light into the world and makes the darkness weaker. It actually brings Mashiach closer. And I think of my Liel. She was pure light. She chose love, kindness, and tahara in the smallest, quietest ways. And it changed people. If one young 15-year-old girl could shine that much light, imagine all of us in this room together what we can do. We can't erase the darkness completely, but we can totally overpower it. With every bit of tahara we bring in, we are building the world that Liel dreamed of. And my Liel, she dreamed a world ready for Mashiach. Maybe we'll be zoche to see that day very soon, very, very soon, when all of our tears turn into joy and the light of tahara will fill the whole world with Mashiach Tzidkenu. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank mikvah.org for the incredible work that they're doing. And I want to thank all of you here in this room right now for being part of this, because whether it's a mikvah in Moldova or in Miami, whether it's a new mikvah or returning woman, every drop of water counts. Every act of tahara brings one step closer to redemption. And I want to thank you all for giving me the space today to share Liel's story. And in the zechut of righteous women, but us righteous women that we're sitting here on a Sunday morning, and in the zechut of us gathering here, may we all merit a year of spiritual growth, unity, health, and revealed blessings for us all. And may we finally this year, we get to see the coming of Mashiach in complete Geula. Shana Tova to you all, and Gemar Chatima Tova.
Thank you, Maya. That was beautiful.